What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast.
I'm John. Fuck capitalism!
I'm Lindsay, trying to write horror novels because I was a weird kid. And the whole world is a urinal.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Hello and welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast. I'm John.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm M.
And today we are reviewing Stigmata from 1999. This is M's pick. What made you pick this?
Big Patricia Arquette fan.
I know her from... Is it True Romance?
That's my favorite movie of hers.
Yeah. And the
Her
other...
first movie was Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
That's the one. Yep. She's awesome in that.
Alright, good.
Yeah.
When a young woman becomes afflicted by stigmata, a priest is sent to investigate her case, which may have severe ramifications for his faith and for the Catholic Church itself.
So, anybody see this before?
Not me.
I saw it in college,
You-
or right after college.
Did you like it then?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I remember seeing it, I remember a bathtub scene, I remember religious stuff, but I didn't, that's why I picked it, because I wanted to see it again.
Oh, okay. I saw kind of the spiritual brother of this movie, or redheaded stepchild, depending on how you look at it. End of Days.
Okay.
It came around the same time. It was the same kind of thing. There was somebody who was like marked with something, and they have to stop the devil from coming, and same kind of thing. And it had Gabriel Byrne in it, which is
That's weird.
crazy. He's the devil
you
in
must
that
be
one.
attracted to those types of films. I don't know.
I guess he rules, man. He's so good in this.
He is good.
And
I really liked him in Little Women.
oh yeah.
Thought he was good in Hereditary.
Oh yeah. Did anybody watch anything?
I saw a strange movie. Have you seen Lamb? It's an A24 movie.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it?
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting. I would recommend it. It was weird.
How long ago was it made?
2022,
It was recent.
I think.
Yeah.
Right? I think it was
Oh,
just
it's new?
this last
Mhm.
year.
Oh, okay.
I know it was pretty recently here anyway.
Alright.
I just felt like it didn't really, whatever it was trying to say, it never got there.
Yeah, it was
frustrating.
It was really unique though. Like
Yeah,
I've never
definitely.
seen anything quite like it. Like I would recommend giving it a watch anyway because it was really different.
What about you, Em?
Have I watched anything? Not that I remember.
Oh, yeah. I watched V for Vendetta again. It made me want to go out and tip over a mailbox. But I couldn't get off the couch.
Blow up the subway.
Yeah. Send a train full of dynamite to... I'm not going to make any terroristic threats on this show.
Right.
The director of this movie is Rupert Wainwright. I have seen 2 of his movies.
Well, he mostly. Well, what have you seen him?
The
do?
Fog remake. Oof, and Blank Check.
The kid movie?
The Kid movie.
I never saw that.
So, when I
And
found...
he mostly did like music videos.
Yeah. This looked like a late 90s music video, this
Interesting.
movie.
I feel like you can tell that with the style of this movie that he's used to doing music videos.
all
of
of
That
the
does
cuts
make
and transitions were very late 90s in this.
Makes sense.
He did like Michael Jackson video. He did MC Hammer, like Can't Touch This.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
But he
just
hasn't made any other movies besides those?
He's
these
made a
3?
bunch, but those are the ones I've seen.
Okay.
I didn't know I've seen this guy this many times, but I'd like to watch Blank Check again to see if like there's some sort of film style that's similar to Stigmata.
I don't know if that would really be worth the time.
No, I really doubt it. I didn't like the credits. That's why I have written down the credits suck. Did anybody else
I
have
didn't
any?
like there was like a high pitched sound there in the beginning and it was really grating. I
Yeah.
thought.
There
I mean,
was
it was
like
something
a-
in the score there in the very
There was a
beginning. and I
weird
didn't like it.
psychedelic feel to it, and then it would go away, and then it would come back. It was confusing. It was
Yeah.
It was 90s grunge.
yeah.
It felt very 90s.
Yes, it
this
did.
Movie.
Favorite 90s one-hit wonder. Favorite
Like for
one.
music?
Yeah.
Chumbawamba.
They're in this movie, the first song.
What?
Chumbawamba
Oh, that's
is in this
them?
movie.
They
I mean,
were
I didn't know that song before I watched it.
Is that the
but
lyrics that say growing old disgracefully?
I think so. I think that was the one.
Might
It was
be.
the very first
Oh,
one in the
okay.
movie. And I'm
They're-
like, they sound really familiar, and I was like, it's Chumbawamba.
Really?
They're a far left, like, anarchy band.
Oh, I like them even better now.
And they
then.
put this out to kind of like get into the spotlight, and then they went back to making anarchy music no one listened to. So,
well, Tub Thumpin' got huge.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yep.
Wait, what are yours?
I
I was the only one. The only one who really
That was
vividly
coincidental, though,
remembers.
that you
I know the
chose
name. I know the name
that
of the
one.
band. It's Space Hog. I think it's Meanwhile or In the Meantime. In the Meantime, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, and this is just any kind of 90s one-hit wonder, any style of music?
Anything.
I really like Tell Me by Groove Theory, and I met the lead singer, Amel LaRue, because I was a big fan of her. And I mean, that song went to #1, and none of their other stuff got popular.
Cool.
But that's like pop R&B.
That's okay.
Yeah, all genres are welcome except country. The country is not welcome here. So,
Unless you play a fiddle.
yes, if you can play a fiddle, physically
Like
play a fiddle
Mumford and Sons.
for us.
Like bluesy kind of. Never mind. We're not getting. It's a movie podcast, not.
Yeah, let's
not
argue about music genres.
Country sucks.
I agree with that.
Good.
Gabriel Byrne's job is to go to different places where they have miracles and basically disprove them. Is that right?
And he's like a priest/scientist. He's both, so that's interesting.
Yeah, he first called himself an investigator.
Right.
That's the first.
Because he investigates miracles.
I feel like
didn't remember that he was also in Ghost Ship, which we talked about
Oh,
doing.
that's right. We need to watch that.
Because I don't remember much about that movie at all. I remember, like, the one memorable part, and that's about it.
yeah.
And that's the only part I saw, so we need to watch it.
I watched the whole thing, but I don't remember doing it, like, at all.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I think, just a thought, is one of these times we should pick movies that we can't remember, but we know we watched.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Because that would be one, and I know that I watched Boogeyman in 2005 in theaters. I don't remember shit from that movie.
Well, that's what Stigmata would be made of.
Yeah, perfect,
My
perfect. So he goes to this statue that's crying blood
In Brazil.
in Brazil, and he wants it. Does he want it pulled up?
Well, I think because what he's supposed to do is bring these kind of things back to, like, the Vatican, right? And then they do their own research, so he wasn't really supposed to leave it there.
Right, he was supposed to take it with him. So
But
they
he
could
left
do
it,
tests,
like,
run
he
tests
explained
or
it later on that it had become such, like, a cornerstone to these people's faith that he felt like he should leave it, but his boss was not really feeling that idea.
Yeah, this town of people was, like, it looked like they were just all kind of, like, suffering and, like, it looked like a horrible place to live. And then, like, when he was in the church and there's all the people in the church and, like, the birds are flying everywhere and there's the blood on the statue and all that, and all the people are just, like, standing there looking, and then he takes a picture and they're like, like,
yeah, it
It
was
was
weird.
very
They were
weird.
almost, I mean, they were so religious, they almost seemed zombie-like, because they
Yes.
were just, like, so focused on only this one thing.
yeah, that's a good description.
Billy Corgan did the score.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Frank Mancuso Jr. made this, and it's Friday the 13th today, so that's cool because he's responsible for the entire Friday the 13th series.
Wow.
There's phone calls and conversations in this movie that remind me of something that you said in a previous episode about another movie, where the conversations are happening so fast, there's no way they hear each other and have time to process a response.
That was from Birdemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this movie, the same thing's happening. In the opening scene, somebody's making a phone call, and they're just answering each other, like, immediately. Like, before they even have time to think. And, ugh.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I don't remember
necessarily.
that.
It drove me crazy, because I was already like, slow down.
I remember her talking, like, to her boyfriend and then to her mom on the phone. Is that when it was?
She was talking to her mom on the phone.
And that might have been it, yeah. And her mom was telling, and she's like, okay, Mom, bye. And just like, what the fuck?
Right, yeah, she wasn't at all interested in, like, what her mom was saying, it didn't seem. Because I think her mom said something about, like, oh, I won't see you for, like, a long while. And she's like, okay, bye.
I wondered,
Like-
I wondered if that was, like, just that scene. But the last note that I have is the dialogue and editing is terrible. And that's
Yeah.
what I meant by that. It just keeps going through the whole movie. It's like they had... I feel like this movie was a much bigger idea, and they were really constrained by something. Maybe budget, maybe time,
Yeah.
something.
I mean, the beginning, when they first show her, first of all, it's supposed to be in Pittsburgh.
Right.
That is
That's not
That's
Pittsburgh.
not Pittsburgh. I thought it was New York.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I
didn't look
mean?
like
I
Pittsburgh.
thought it was just City Town, USA or something.
But it was all supposed to be very grungy. She was supposed to be this non-religious, like, anti-moral, heathen. Like, I put down that I loved her, like, clothes and her style and her apartment and all that stuff. It was cool. But, you know, they're portraying her as, like, but not really. Still kind of a normal person.
Yeah,
but
I mean, she definitely didn't seem like an antichrist.
Yeah, that's what bothered me.
She was an atheist.
Like, going out and partying all the time, sleeping with, you know, whoever, whatever. Like, they were trying to portray her as the opposite of the church, I think, right?
She seemed very carefree and just like, I'm gonna do whatever I feel like doing.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel like there was a real threat in this movie, other than her getting more stigmata and dying from it?
Well, I mean, she was definitely possessed multiple times there, she says. So
right, but it didn't seem like the thing that was possessing her was all that strong.
It seemed like, because I think she was partially possessed by that Father Alameda. Is that how you said it? Alameda? Is that how you said it? I don't remember.
Yep.
But then she also had demons getting in there too, it seemed like. Because maybe like once you're open to one thing, you're open to all of it. Like the good and bad.
Yeah, you can't pick what comes through the door.
I was confused exactly what happened.
Exactly.
Me too. It was confusing.
Okay. Alright, good.
And I don't feel like it really did well explain it.
Mm-hmm.
So she has an apartment that is loaded with candles. And this always
candles all over the place.
bothers me.
Did you see when she was like just doing her makeup in the mirror and there's like 20 candles on either side of it?
That doesn't seem safe.
When does a bird get loose?
In the church down in Brazil, a bunch of birds get loose, and then also
There's one bird.
There's birds throughout the movie, and they're doves, aren't they?
One bird in
Does
her
it get into her
apartment. Yeah.
What was it?
And I have one pigeon sounds like 1 trillion pigeons.
It really did. It was weird. It was so loud. The fluttering was really loud.
They made it like
But
echoey.
I know the one person in there at the beginning said that the statue started crying the day Father Alameda died, the day the doves came back. So, I don't know. The doves had something to do with it.
So,
some kind of connection.
I'm going to try and explain basically what's going on here. This Father Alameda has a part. Does he have a part of the Bible?
The Gospel of St. Thomas. It was like a scroll that was found like in the early to mid 1900s, I think. And it was in Egypt they found it, and they thought that it was like Jesus's real like things that he was saying, and it was like not stuff that's found in the Bible. But most of the people in Christianity do not like believe this. They think it's like fake, but some people.
And the translation guy was saying that when they find when they want to have any kind of like a sacred text or something extremely touchy, I don't know, they divide it into 3 parts and give it to 3 different people.
No one can know
so
the
nobody
entirety.
knows all of it. Which Pretty shady church.
Yeah.
If they really
they're
do
the
that.
villains in this movie. The church is
Definitely.
100% the villains. This is the Jesus I like, man.
Right, me too.
Yeah, Mr. I'm everything, you're everything, we're all everything.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, I am definitely agnostic, but, I mean, I've done spiritual searching in my life and everything, and, like, that's what I connect to most, is, like, thinking, like, okay, like, God, or whatever you want to call this energy, is in all of us and in everything. So,
And the church doesn't want that because then they have no power over anybody. That's why they don't want these texts read.
Like, religious scholars do believe in the Gospel of St. Thomas, but, like, the Vatican and everyone, like, they won't accept it.
Right, because that would mean that they weren't the end-all be-all of the communication to the people or whatever.
What do you think Jesus would have to do if he came here and, like, had to convince people that he was real? Like, what would he have to do, man?
He'd be in a psych ward.
He would be, immediately.
And also, probably most of these Christians wouldn't even like him,
I know.
you know?
He'd be like, I never said anything about abortion. Well, fuck you. You ain't the real Jesus. I literally am.
I saw a thing on that Christian Nightmares page today about, it was this preacher that was like, you don't think Jesus was pro-life? And then he went into this whole thing, just twisting and turning all these different words, just fucking vomiting, like, you know, ugh, it was so horrible. The caption underneath was like, you can tell he really thought he did something there.
Does Frankie find out she's pregnant?
She thought she was pregnant because she was getting sick and stuff.
Yeah.
And her period was a week late.
And then she saw a vision of herself dropping a baby under her car.
Right.
Was that herself, or was that some?
I couldn't tell because there was like a hood. You couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
I thought that they were really like closing up on her face, and I was confused. I was like, "Why is she dropping a baby?" And then it looked like she didn't know it was her, and I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
But then when she was in the hospital, she asked the doctor if she was pregnant, and he said no. And she said, "Was I pregnant?" And he said, "I don't know."
Oh.
So she might have had a
Miscarriage.
miscarriage,
and that was like a vision that she was having of having a miscarriage.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Okay.
I don't really know what any of that had to do with anything, though. Did it like connect to the stigmata stuff? Really?
I don't think so. That's why I was getting confused too. Is like, the stigmata is part of the possession? Is that how it works? That's not how it works.
I mean, it all seemed connected in this, but I don't know if typically that it works that way.
He said if you get stigmata, get it, have it. I don't know how you say that, but then it's like a gift from God. It's like knowing, it's like evidence that you're closer to God or whatever.
Yeah, and he didn't think that she really had it because she was an atheist, and only really devoutly religious people get stigmata usually.
Right, there was no record of anybody getting it that wasn't a like devout person.
Right.
But also there was no record of anybody getting all of them.
Yeah.
And that was what the main crux of this movie is trying to prevent her from getting the spear, the fifth one. Yeah.
And then she didn't think it was true stigmata because it was through her wrists instead of her hands, and then he explained that that's really how Jesus had been nailed to the cross, would have been through his wrists.
She was like, so it's all lies. He was like,
She's
well,
like,
no, not exactly.
There's also
just misunderstood.
There's also the belief that he was tied to it. He wasn't even, that was just imagery that the church added to make it more dramatic.
I hadn't heard that.
The belief is that, like every other person that was crucified in Rome at the time, he was tied to a cross, and then someone with the spear, that's what killed him. It wasn't having his blood or anything like that. It was the spear that killed him. But I don't know.
Are you going to do your rant about crosses now?
Yeah, well, that's not mine, that's Bill Hicks. But he's right. Like, why in the world would Jesus want to come back to a world where there were crosses everywhere?
Yeah, let's be reminded of.
Why'd you put that thing on top of that building?
Yeah, it's like you see Jesus and you're all excited and you run up and you show him a cross, he's gonna run away.
Yeah.
Don't you know me at all?
No. That's the answer, no. This thing rips off The Exorcist quite a bit. What do you call it? The progression of the movie.
That's the word was in my mind as I'm seeing you do that, but I'm like, I don't know if that's where you're going.
Yeah, it's progression. Like, she does a bunch of tests in a hospital while he's talking to the Vatican and doing all these other things and sort of like losing his faith a little bit. And so it's basically The Exorcist. But
and then it was kind of weird how they were definitely kind of into each other too.
That was
I mean, like
weird.
he was definitely had feelings for her too.
I don't know that she really did, or if that was just her being possessed by a demon.
Right, I
That's
don't know.
why I was confused. She's supposed to be being possessed by a guy who's trying to... But every now and then, like you said, a demon pops in there.
And she seemed automatically attracted to him, like, as soon as he came
How could
into
you not
the
be?
hair
It's
place.
Gabriel Byrne, man.
Right.
Late 90s Gabriel Byrne, too.
She did, before she was possessed or anything, she made the comment, was it in the hair salon, when she said something about...
Weird calling you father when I could be dating you or something.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
It's weird calling someone father, like, even though I couldn't really date you. I forget what it was.
They think that she may have some form of epilepsy, which they always seem to think possession is epilepsy.
They said she tried to commit suicide. She was like, they were like, this is self-inflicted.
Oh, yeah, she's like, do you really think I tried to do this? I didn't.
She was like, I love being me. Ask anyone.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right.
And also, she has been waiting for Gabriel Byrne to show up. And she tells him that when he gets there. Because I think she had a dream or a vision or something.
On the subway, when she was, I think, semi-possessed.
Yeah.
She went over to the one priest and was like, are you Andrew Kiernan? And
oh, right.
so somehow the name was in her head.
I just, like, my big complaint with this movie is that I don't feel like there's a main bad. Does that make sense? Like, they're not really fighting. All they're really doing is trying to keep her from being killed by possession, but it's not by a demon. So it's
that's what
very different.
Gabriel Byrne is trying to keep her from dying, but the church is trying to keep all of it
secret. From
the public. Also, nobody rides the subway in Pittsburgh. There's never a crowded subway in Pittsburgh.
No.
Never. Sorry.
I've never been on the subway in Pittsburgh.
It's like
when they made
half
this
a mile long and nobody uses
when
it.
they made this movie, why did they decide Pittsburgh?
I wonder. I have no idea.
I'm sure when they filmed it, they were like, any city, USA.
Yeah.
And then they somebody made the decision to call it Pittsburgh, and I'm guessing it's someone who hasn't been there. That's the only thing I can come up with.
I feel like they use Pittsburgh when they need a random kind of non-aggressive type city. What's that?
That's also Pittsburgh?
Yeah, they're like, the signal's not coming from Syria. It's coming from Pittsburgh. And
Yeah,
so he
it's
goes,
kind of this random...
he goes there, and it's just a big dump. It's a big, dirty dump.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, maybe they just think people don't know a lot about Pittsburgh, so let's make a movie.
Who would know? Like, why wouldn't they say New York? Like, why wouldn't they use, like a big
lot
city?
more movies are filmed in Pittsburgh than they used to be.
Yes, I have seen a lot. But, like, but are they actually... Is the plot actually taking place in Pittsburgh?
Sometimes.
I don't know why you would fake being in Pittsburgh. Like, just go film in Pittsburgh. Like...
Yeah, it's, from what I
was
understand,
not a
it's
single-
cheap to film there, too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like, cheaper and easier, I think, than York. But
Right.
and nobody wants to go to Philly, so...
So, that is true. Fuck Philly hard. I agree.
Hard! In the ass!
Yeah. Make sure they get no pleasure out of it. Andrew comes over to Frankie's house, and Frankie starts hitting on Andrew.
Oh, the whole epilepsy thing, that reminded me of The Exorcist.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said possession is always epilepsy. Doctors are just like, I don't know, epilepsy, fuck it. Get out of here. That'll be $250,000, please.
She got pissed at him in the diner. That was at the beginning. It all was kind of a blur.
Yeah.
It's just, they'll have an interaction, she'll get another stigmata. Then they'll have an interaction, she'll get another stigmata.
Yeah.
And when they're in the
then
apartment...
they kind of get to know each other.
Well, sort of, kind of. But Andrew goes there and she's hitting on him, and he's like, no. So then she gets all crazy, starts floating, blood's coming out of her eyes and shit.
Yeah.
She's talking in a male voice, which is weird.
When was she writing on the walls?
I think that was before, right? I think she wrote on the walls before this stuff.
Right, she wrote on the walls, they took a picture of it and sent it to one of the people who's translating.
right.
And he's
And
like,
it was all in ancient Aramaic.
yeah, then she painted over it when he came back, and she's just like, I didn't like it. Because she's possessed.
Yeah, and then
Right.
she was sitting on
Yep. What are these demons trying to do?
Get the priest.
I wonder if they want to, like, prevent her from giving Jesus's true...
Why?
Well, if they're demons, then they'd be, like, against, like, all that, right? Like,
Well,
they wouldn't
wouldn't
want
they
his
be
truth
for
to
the
be out
downfall
there.
of the church?
I don't know. I mean, unless the demons are actually against the truth. I don't
Well,
know.
then,
How would-
that's what I'm confused. Like, why would they want to stop? Why would they want her to cover those words up? It's not going to do them anything. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
There's no
maybe
reason
unless
for
they
that.
just want to prevent anyone from knowing that will be helpful to people too.
But the church is doing that themselves. It's so confusing. Like, the stigmata is for religious people, but she's possessed by demons sometimes.
Right, and
but
like
then-
it seems like the only reason she has this happening to her is because she received the rosary beads that were
Right,
Father
and then-
Adlamaida's, which that was a weird thing too. I mean, like this kid just like sold them to this random lady, which apparently was her mother, and I did not get that until
that was the
yeah.
conversation at the beginning. It was so fast.
Yeah.
That-
She was like, "Did you get my package?"
Yes, I got it. Go ahead, ask me
Oh,
another question.
Okay.
Okay, goodbye. That's how the conversation
I'm not going to
went.
see you for 6
But, all right,
months.
that's great, Mom.
All right, bye. That's funny.
But then nothing else came up about the rosary.
Mm-mm.
It was just in her apartment.
No, they were like, that's how it got here. And
Yeah, but that's
so, my theory.
Wait, so was she possessed by Father Alameda, or was she possessed by a demon?
both.
Both.
At-
Yeah. But the demon had no real goal, no real plan, no real reason to possess her.
It's a threesome.
It is. Oh, I should have just let you get that joke in. That was really good.
Trying.
My theory is that this movie was 8 different scripts thrown into a blender. Then they were like, this isn't really a horror movie. We need some threat. So they're like a demon possessing. But,
Yeah.
well, who's a demon? We don't know. Who cares? It's possession. They'll be scared. She'll float and blood will come out of her. It'll be scary.
I feel like
Alright.
there was a bigger idea and a longer script. Or
So,
Do you think it just
condensed
wasn't
it.
as well thought out as it could have been? Like maybe they
Yeah.
just didn't fully.
okay. And the reason I brought that up. Earlier I brought up the movie End of Days. Came out around the same time. Had the same actor. Was basically the same story with the big bad being Satan, actually, was the big bad. But it was very similar, and then they both kind of went like this. There's other movies like this. The Core, and I can't remember what the other one is, but there's 2 movies where they drill down to the center of the earth because 2 different things are happening at the center of the earth. They came out at the same time. Armageddon and the other one with Morgan Freeman as the president, where a meteor hits the Earth. Deep Impact. Same year, same plot, but about halfway through they go like this. And I think what's happening with these movies is they have one idea, it's huge, they're working through it, and then they end up getting two creative minds that are like, I want to do this with it, I want to do this with it, and they just make both movies, and they're both half a movie.
Or it's just coincidental and people are getting the similar ideas at the time.
It could be. I know that scripts float around Hollywood for a long time. That's how a lot of Hellraisers got made, is they had these extra scripts laying around, and they picked them up and they're like, this isn't gonna sell. And they slap Pinhead in the middle of it and call it Hellraiser 6. So it's a different movie, and then Hellraiser, and then it's a different movie again. So I think that maybe is what happened here.
Well, there were several kinds of like you said,
Devil's Advocate.
Like, and then there was the one with Denzel Washington. Has the Rolling Stones song in it. Fallen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the late 90s was full of these kinds of like devil possession movies, and I feel like one at the beginning or an original idea is very popular, and then a bunch of people are like, jump on that. Kind of like Jaws was crazy popular, and then we get Alligator.
Right.
Yes.
It was definitely
like that kind of thing. You know, they just jump on that band.
What do you think the movie was that spawned a bunch of religious movies? Was The Exorcist re-released?
I was gonna say, were we just going all the way back to The Exorcist? Because
yes, it was. That was the 25th anniversary. They re-released it.
I bet that's what inspired these then. I mean, you could tell that they were inspired by it.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
This is why probably then, because it was around that time.
Ah, that's why this exists.
That makes more sense.
Plus, Patricia gets amazing.
She is. The actors are both excellent in this.
Yeah, for sure. I like them.
My problem is more like the editing, and the story makes no sense. It's not the acting. At this point, Frankie ends up in the church, right? Somehow. They
take her to the father that was on the subway church, and this is after she gets the stigmata in her feet.
Yep.
And instead of taking her to the hospital again, because obviously they don't believe her, I guess, they take her to the church, and nuns are taking care of her, and then the father tries to do next to them.
But really all he's trying to do is kill her.
Right, yeah, strangling her.
Oh, right, that's right. He did try and strangle her.
He's like saying stuff loudly so they all think that he's wanting her to be saved, and then all the while trying to kill her.
And this throws all of at least the Hollywood rules about exorcisms out the window. Like, there has to be a huge investigation, and there needs to be all this proof and all this. There's none of that. They're just like, hey, let's go exorcise her. Because he's planning on just killing her. That's his plan.
Right. And in the beginning, like, when she first got the stigmata in the hospital, they would not believe her at all that she just did it herself. They're like, well, obviously, you did this to yourself.
Okay, so Frankie sets the room on fire. Somebody sets the room on fire. I thought it was her. Somebody did.
Must have been.
It could be, yeah. There's a lot of them. But it's because Andrew comes in and stops the guy from choking her. The room catches on fire. He asks the spirit of Alameda come into him or speak through him, but he doesn't like get possessed. He doesn't like kill himself. It just kind of ends. It just kind of ends.
Yeah, I was thinking the next day, what happened to Frankie?
Yeah, she went home.
Because she was like fine after that. And...
Was she?
Well, I mean, I'm sure not psychologically, but
did it show her like after? Or
not really. No, they show him. He's going back down to Peru, Brazil, one of the two. Yeah, but that's it. You don't know what happens to her.
Wait, why did he go back down to Brazil?
He finds the original documents for the lost gospel in Alameda's church.
Oh, that's right. He finds them. But the church isn't going to believe it anyway, so...
Just before the end credits, the Catholic Church refuses to recognize the document as a gospel and considers it heresy. Of course. Churches are just about...
You mean this was based on a true story?
I don't think the movie itself was, but like the Gospel of St. Thomas, that was real.
Flashing that on the screen at the end, that implies this was based in some fact.
I'm sure one person out there was like, oh, wow. And like, the fucking Catholic Church, those jerks. Now, you said they really don't acknowledge it, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, like, scholars do that have, like, studied it, but, like, the Catholic Church itself does not recognize the Gospel of St. Thomas.
It's ridiculous.
We'll have to let Pope Francis know. I bet
he's more
I bet he would do it. He would do it. I don't know. He would.
Sometimes I think the popes are the same way as the president. They get put in a room. The door gets shut, a little screen comes down, and they play a video of something that, like with the presidents, it's a shot of JFK being shot from a different angle than anybody's ever seen, and then it just goes up, and they're like, "You have any questions?"
And then, like, some, like, launch codes and, like, where all the aliens are.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Pope knows where the aliens are, he knows the launch codes, and he knows, don't fuck with us.
Yeah.
You're in charge, you know. Air quotes, audio podcast. Alright, that is Stigmata. Em?
It is.
It is.
It is Stigmata.
It is Stigmata.
Do I have to give a rating now?
Yes, you do. It's your movie.
Alright. I'm gonna say that it, the 90s nostalgia, Richard Arquette, Gabriel Byrne, in a trench coat.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. But a lot of downside, so, I'm gonna give it a 3.
Fair. Okay.
Is that enough of an explanation?
Yeah, I like the 90s, Gabriel Byrne in a trench coat, 3.
For sure.
Alright, Lindsay?
Okay, well, I was thinking the exact number, so I'm also at a 3. It entertained me a little bit throughout it, and I liked the actors. They did a pretty good job, but the story and the dialogue, and it just wasn't everything it could have been. Like, they could have done something a lot better with the idea, I think, than they did.
I agree.
Yeah, I do too. I also gave it a 3. So,
Wow.
social! With my water. So I feel like this movie should have been called Slapdash. I feel like this movie was thrown together as fast as possible and churned out as fast as possible. I don't know that that's 100% true, and I do have the ability to look it up, but I'm not going to. It feels like it, big time. I don't have a problem with Gabriel Byrne at all. Not at all. But it's the directing. It doesn't really feel like it has any direction. It just feels like it's kind of there. It just kind of exists. There's no danger. There's no anything. There's nothing. It's very blank. It does have all of the qualities of a 90s movie, though, especially a late 90s. I feel like there should be more nu metal going on, like Limp Bizkit or Korn or Orgy playing in the background or something during this.
I wonder if it was actually made a few years earlier.
That could be. It has more of like a mid-90s
It really
feel.
felt mid-90s,
Yeah.
I heard Bjork in there.
I couldn't figure out who it was. I was like, who is that? Is that garbage? Who is that? I like the music. I actually like the score. I know that you said it was kind of...
I'm talking in the very beginning
Okay.
there. That's what I didn't like.
There were parts that were real... The music was real psychedelic in parts, and I'm like, that doesn't fit with this movie, but I like it. But no, the movie makes no sense. I was confused. 3. There's better possession movies. There's better Stigmata movies, which is crazy because this is called Stigmata. Today is Friday the 13th, and we did get a listener response. I was just like, just tell me some basic things you think about Friday the 13th. Okay, so this is from Anastasia, and she says, my favorite installment is either part 3 or part 8. I get a lot of hate for liking Manhattan. However, I thought it was clever and different, and I like 3 because Richard Brooker is very big, brooding, and scary. I think he's one of the scariest versions of Jason's in all the installments. I have a few favorite characters from the entire franchise. I would say Terry from part 2 because she's just gorgeous. Same with Debbie from part 3, smoking hot. I'm a straight female, by the way. Well, that's how I feel about Gabriel Byrne. Yeah. So, Andy's death was my absolute favorite. Andy. Oh, he's on his hands, hand walking, and Jason cuts him down the middle.
Oh,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
There are really cool kills in the Friday the 13th movies. They're like different stuff than you would see in any other.
That's the appeal for him, is like they're just out of control. In part 4, I liked Ted and Jimmy. Ted is played by Crispin Glover. He's the guy who does the goofy dance. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And his friend Jimmy, and they were hilarious. And they were. I just watched it with Garrett the other night, and I was laughing so hard. The banter between the two of them. Have you seen part 4?
I have, but it's been many years.
We're going to be getting through some Fridays. So. I like the demon. Oh, she liked Demon from part 5. That's the guy who ate enchiladas and had to go shit. And that's the whole...
That's his whole character?
That's his whole character, literally. He shows up in the middle of the movie. He's eating burritos and enchiladas and tacos and pizza and chicken. And then he's like, oh, those damn enchiladas? And he sprints out to the outhouse.
Oh, does he get killed out there?
And then he gets killed in the outhouse while he's crooning to his girlfriend on the other side of the outhouse while he's shitting.
Well, that's romantic.
Oh, yeah, she likes it because of the outhouse singing. Part 6, Megan, of course. She's my favorite because she's also really hot. And Court is my favorite because I actually have conversations with him on Facebook. I would consider him an acquaintance of mine. I like him. He's got holes. Like, he's barely wearing jeans. It's just holes the whole way down. And he's teaching the boys how to Boy Scout. Part 7 I wasn't into. Me either. I thought the whole supernatural telepathic thing was dumb, but I liked Nick, and he was pretty cute. I hated Dr. Cruz, who's Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's. I wanted him dead within the first 5 seconds of seeing him. Melissa I actually liked because she's kind of a villain, and I like villains. She's a total asshole. She treats everyone like total garbage. Part 8, I like the heavy metal chick, JJ, and the dog. The dog was my favorite. Uncle Charles, I wanted him dead within the first 5 seconds. I didn't like the remake. I've grown to like it more than I did. I didn't like Jason Goes to Hell. Bullshit! Get off my show!
Oh my god!
Sorry.
No.
He didn't mean it.
He's joking. Please keep listening.
Except for the sleeping bag kill, which I thought was awesome. I did not like Jason X. I don't blame you. I did like Freddy vs. Jason. I thought it was pretty clever. I saw Freddy vs. Jason 4 times in theaters.
Whoa.
I've only ever seen one other movie more than once in a theater, and that was Saw. I saw it twice. So.
I saw Top Gun 8 times.
God damn!
Wow.
Tom Cruise in the 80s.
Beefcake.
What's your favorite Friday the 13th?
I need to rewatch them all to really say for sure. Like, because, I mean, the first one is the one that sticks out in my memory the most just because first one, I guess. But I really need to rewatch, like, all of them, and then I can good.
We will.
Yeah.
We will.
Slowly over time. If you try to watch all of them all at once, it's awful.
Yeah, let's spread it out.
You know how Aqua Teen, you watch a 12-minute episode and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You don't watch 15, 12-minute you'll get sick of it real fast. Same thing with Friday the 13th. If you want to get a hold of us, facebook.com/JustAnotherHorrorPodcast. We're on Podbean, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Rate, review, and subscribe.
Or we gonna sue your balls to the wall.
Twitter @JustHorrorPod.
What's the last thing you posted on Twitter, Em?
The what we're watching. No, what was the last episode that came out?
Oh, okay.
And someone retweeted it.
Oh, nice. I don't remember.
Instagram is just a horror pod.
Anything going on there? Anything cool? Anything fun?
I mean, I try to keep up with the posts. I mean, I post every time we have a new episode. And...
You didn't get banned for calling Einstein a little bitch?
Not yet.
You should try it.
Thrill me